Hello, 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 my friends. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good whatever part of the day it is for you. It is Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Let's see if I can get to the right screen. Here we go. And I am happy to be back here with my friends for another trip into Barovia with the Curse of Strahd campaign in this Dungeons and Dragons campaign we've been working on. Good to see you, Garrison. Hey, it's Tamak with the 43 months in a row of subbing. What's up? Good to see you, sir. Taco Pie. Good to see all you people here. I am really excited. It's a new year. We have all our friends here from the last time we played, which was back in November, so it's been a couple months. Cruel Angel, good to see you. But we are going to continue our campaign of crazy shenanigans in a place that's really spooky and dark from what we've experienced so far. So really quickly, I'm going to reintroduce everybody. To my left, we got Shogi, who's playing Galen the Paladin. Top left, we got Archon, who is playing the intrepid, spooky, I don't know, how would you describe your sorcerer? Yes, named Ulrich. Doreen up above is our awesome intrepid GM who will guide us through this crazy adventure. Top right, we got Tasso, played by Jeremiah, the awesome druid. And then finally, Mr. Zach to my right is playing the crazy Conard Andarak who likes to run away and leave his friends behind, I think. So. But we are back, and I'm very super excited about this. So hello to everybody in chat. Again, I won't be chatting as much or talking to people in chat as much to keep the stream focused on the story. But I'm going to hand it over to Doreen if we want to do a recap or however we want to get started.
Yeah, because it's been a while, but I'm very excited for our next chapter here because now we are legitimately in the first course of this meal that is Curse of Strahd. Before, you guys just had little appetizers. In our last session, you each awoke within the damp, foggy, misty forest alone with none of your equipment. It took some time, but you did manage to each find each other on the road. But before that, you each had a little weird encounter. Conard, you found a strange book in an abandoned Vistani wagon. And Ulrich, a raven, brought you a coin that you don't recognize, but you were able to discern that it's Electrum. Jeremiah and Conard came upon this altar of corpses that was a mixture of rotting, decaying, but also kind of fresh corpses, which Jeremiah, knowing that this is clearly a desecration to nature itself, destroyed that altar. And Evander, you came upon a child. He seemed to gravitate towards you for whatever reason. Who she was crying and eventually disappeared into dust. And Galen, you had a spirit grasp onto you, begging you to tell him who he was. Eventually, he disappeared with no answer to that question. But as you guys found your way to the road, you were kind of forced to go in a certain direction by a large pack of wolves, including one dire wolf. And one of them did end up actually attacking Ulrich, who, for whatever reasoning, thought he could maybe control, interact. I'm not quite sure Ulrich's reasoning there, but
he got too big for his britches.
Possibly, yeah. Ulrich came out the gate really, really different in this forest. However, it didn't work, whatever your plan was, and the wolves attacked and forced you guys to continue on the road west. And that's what you did. You continued to walk. It is nighttime. You found your way to Durst Manor, which you all recognized. And Conard and Ulrich decided to go in. Even though you've had some not so good experiences in this manor, decided to go in for your own reasonings. Seemed a lot to do with wanting to maybe get some answers to what had happened in that manor before, because differently from when you first were there, from the outside you could tell it was very dilapidated. Clearly no one had lived there for a long time. So as Connard and Ulrich were making their way down to the basement to maybe check and see if there was anything else there, check the libraries for whatever books may have been there, which surprisingly, it was ransacked and not very many items of worth were there. But Evander, you heard a familiar voice of a young girl. You went to investigate. And as you did, the whole house began to shake. And it began to basically fall in on itself as Connard and Ulrich triggered the shambling mound that was hiding in the dungeon, and it made its way and up through the dungeon, through the basement, through the stairwell, and as it did, it basically shook this whole house that was ready to fall apart on its own anyway. Luckily, you each made your way out, and as you did, and one more thing before I forget, you guys did find Scruffles again. That was one other thing. But Scruffles was not in the state that you found him before, whereas before he seemed happy and healthy, maybe a little out of place, but he seemed to be well fed, well groomed. He is not that way now. He looks like he's starving, like he's been on the streets for a very long time. He's dirty, he's matted, but Tasso was able to convince him to get close enough so that he could grab him and bring him out. As you guys did finally make your way out of Durst Manor, as it's crashing in and falling in on itself, you spied not too far in front of the manor itself, on the road, a brightly painted, ornate wagon. There appeared to be a hooded figure on top of it, basically leading the horses. And then there's a man in like a red hood, a little bit short, a little bit portly, waving you on. Come on, man, come on. And you guys, I'm going to leave it up to you if you wanted to make your way over to the man offering you help.
Question: the creature that was chasing us, has it been stopped by the
No, it's still making its way, but that's where we left you. Oh, and one more thing, just to kind of refresh everyone's memory, you guys did find your belongings outside of Durst Manor. All of your backpacks, all of your weapons, everything was in place. Although Evander, you found a little something extra in your backpack of a small rag doll.
Mm-hmm.
But attached to Connard's backpack, pinned onto it, was a letter, a welcome letter, seeming like basically from Strahd, welcoming you here to Barovia, letting you know what the laws of his land are. Now, are you guys going to hightail it over to the man offering you assistance, or are you going to maybe try to stay and fight whatever this thing is?
Or it just keeps running out the door like, ah!
Connor will run up and jump on the wagon.
Okay. So as you get close, it's not like an open wagon. It is covered. There is a back door that is open, and you can make your way in there.
Does this wagon look similar to the wrecked one that we found in the forest?
I will go ahead and
Oh.
let you guys know exactly where you are. So I would say you definitely notice some similarities, but it didn't look quite like it was definitely much older. And the one that was in the forest didn't have that fireplace in it. It looked more like it was more of just a place of rest and sleeping.
Well, yeah, Evander would like to, seeing this giant hulking menace come out of the building that he's had so many bad memories. He would definitely run towards the carriage and kind of shout to the driver, like, "We need to get out of here. There's something bad coming for us."
All right, well, get in then, mate. And he kind of like shoves you in.
Yeah.
What is,
Jump in.
I jump inside, yes.
Guess we're just all jumping in.
all right, Jeremiah, you good with
Yes,
that?
yeah. Scooping up Scruffles and jumping on in.
All right. So, as you guys all make your way in, it is a tight fit. This wagon was not meant to hold this many bodies in here at one time. But you are able to squeeze in, and as you do, man, I'll show you what he looks like. Takes one last look at the house, and just kind of shakes his head, and he's goes in, slams the door shut, and then bangs on the roof and says, "All right, Nadia, let's go." And he just kind of looks at you and says, "What in the world possessed you to go in there?"
We're seeking answers to questions we had about this place.
There's no answers in there, mate. That's nothing but death in there.
Evander wants to pull out the little rag doll he found. He wants to kind of look around to his other friends and says, "I saw Rose in there. I think it was her specter, but I knew one of the children in that house, and she spoke to me."
And at this point, the fellow just kind of shakes his head. Ain't no one lived in there quite some time.
How long?
It's a few decades, I guess. I don't know. What do I look like? A historian? And at this point, you can feel the wagon begin, like it lurched forward, and it's making its way at kind of a good pace further west.
Are there like windows at all on this carriage?
Yeah, there are. So there is the one that you see in the picture right in, like, towards the back, which would be the opposite of where that door was that you came in, and then there's
Gotcha.
one to basically the right. But other than that, those are the only windows.
Am I able to peer out and see if whatever that was coming out of the house is still coming, or did it just stop the moment we left?
If you take a quick look, you're starting to see the house kind of get further away in the distance, but don't see the monster coming, out of the house. But it does look like the house is still continually it's breaking down and whatnot.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Well, Evander would like to say to this man who has picked us up, "Sir, we are in your debt. What is your name?"
In debt indeed. My name is Laszlo. And he'll go ahead. I'll just show this to you now.
Laszlo.
I am of one of the Vastani families. My good lady wife here, Nadia, is, well, she's doing the hard work, but that's to be expected. Take it you're newcomers to this land, huh?
I guess Evander will kind of look around and say, "We are not sure. We are actually a little confused because we have been to this place before, but it was different the last time."
He visibly looks confused. All right. Well,
Does his dress look different to us than what we're used to seeing?
well, you haven't seen anyone here other than this person,
Right.
and then people obviously from Durst Manor. I would say it definitely is a lot more colorful than what you would expect. It's really well embroidered, but you're also a bard, so it probably wouldn't be too different than some of your showpieces, when you're performing.
Or nobles that I've seen in the past, I would guess, who are
Yeah.
up with the latest fashions, that kind of thing. Well, Evander will, in the confines of this little carriage, kind of bow, kind of take his hat off and say, well, Laszlo, we are in your debt. My name is Evander Nailo, and if there's any way I can repay you, I am a bard of some repute, and so I would be happy to perform or provide my services in repayment for you saving us from that horrible creature.
Oh, and well, as you take your hat off,
Flourish.
to flourish, it actually hits Galen in the head. But Lazov kind of looks at you like, I have no need for a song, but don't thank me just yet. All I can do is take you to the gates, and then after that I have to leave you.
The gates of where?
Oh, the gates of Barovia, man. Come on.
Are we not in Barovia?
You really don't know, do you? And he kind of like pushes his way, nudging his way through you guys to get to the one part of the back part of the wagon. Jeremiah,
Yes.
give me a moment.
Sure, I can do that.
Don't
There'd be
turn into
more
a
room
bear.
in the carriage if we got rid of Scruffles.
Hey.
Rude.
Speaking of, I want
I
to do
know,
a
but
medicine
not-
check to make sure Scruffle is okay.
Okay. So he goes to the back. He kind of like fiddles around with some papers and stuff, and he says, "Since you won't be able to leave, this may be of use to you." And
We won't be able to leave. What does that mean, laddie?
he will answer you in just a moment. Feel free to open up. I'm going to give you number 10, prop number 10. But Laszlo looks at you, maybe looks a little bit down at you, actually. And he says, well, you are clearly not of the Vistani, so you ain't going anywhere then. He just kind of shrugs a little bit awkwardly.
And he specifically walked up to Tasso to give him this item?
Yeah, because Tasso was closest.
Okay.
Oh, this I
And I will, of
understand.
course, show everyone else as soon as I find it in my list here.
Ah.
So,
That awesome black
no.
screen. Looks great.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it looks like a
there you go.
map. Is that what that is? A map of a city or something?
Matt,
I told you number 10, right?
10. Yeah, this is number 10.
Oh, here it is.
Number 10.
Right at the top, right where I knew it was supposed to be. So that should be what you have.
Oh, cool.
That is
Oh,
what I'm
wow.
looking at.
And he's like,
Town of Barovia. Okay.
yes, this is the town of Barovia. Although I will say, not my place that I would stay if I were you. But it is probably the first place that you'll be able to find some refuge.
If Barovia is the town, what is this country called?
Barovia. Come on.
Okay.
Well, if you're leaving Barovia, where are you going?
Well, I have to catch up with the rest of my caravan, of course. I'm actually going out of my way, but you guys needed assistance, so I will catch up
You
with the
mentioned
caravan, and we will go out and maybe go to one of the nearest cities and do some trading.
Vistani. Who or what is a Vistani?
Kind of like flourishes at himself. Why, I am a Vistani. My good lady wife is a Vistani.
This
You,
is
not
you. Your people. Your
Of a sort. Yes. You're either born Vistani or you become Vistani. But yes, we are a people. Multiple families. Not all good.
and you are native to this Barovia.
No, 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 no. 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 I would not want to stay here. But, good trade for Vistani. Not many people come in and out, you know? So,
Do you
the
know?
name
Sorry.
Strahd von Zarevich mean anything to you?
why, of course, everyone knows Count Strahd von Zarevich. The Count has been very good to the Vistani, and therefore we are very good to the Count. And in that, I mean, we stay out of his business, I stay out of, and he stays out of our business.
Do you know anything of the Durst Manor that you just saved us from?
Danger. Danger and death is all that's there. Each time, he kind of leans in a little bit close. That house, that manor, has been burned down, destroyed, countless times, and yet, it rises again. It's cursed.
Do you know of the Dursts who once lived there?
Where there are stories, devil worshippers, or I don't really partake in such stories. I like stories of laughter, of dancing women and wine. That's what the Vistani love to tell stories about.
Eminder laughs and kind of, chucks him on the shoulder. My kind of man. My favorite stories as well. Good sir.
How does Durst Manor get rebuilt? People or magic?
No, I don't see any people out there, but I'll let you come to that conclusion.
Are there any living descendants of the Dursts?
Not that I know of. The story goes that everyone in that family perished. Now there might be a distant cousin somewhere. I don't know. They're never really looked
Could
into
this
it.
distant cousin be a dog? And then I point over
Tasso
to
gives you a side eye.
You mean that mangy mutt?
Hey,
No, I don't think so. It's kind of like a little unnerved by that question.
You said you're not native here. And how
No.
did you get here?
Through the mist, just like everyone else.
How often do people get pulled through the mist?
That I don't know. That's not something the Vistani control. The rule is we bring no one in, we take no one out.
But it happens all the time?
It depends. Seems like sometimes more than others. Although there have been times the locals have said there haven't been any strangers in these parts for decades. So I guess it varies.
And who causes this? Strahd?
Well, he does rule this land, so I suppose that's a fair assessment.
Have you ever met Strahd?
No, not directly, but every now and then he might visit some of the Vistani camps. He does enjoy meeting with Madame Eva. I don't know why. I mean, I don't think the cards have much to tell him, but they talk, they dine, they wine.
Madame
But
Eva, is she one of the Vistani?
Aye. Oh, in fact, if I were you chaps, that'd be the first place I go. Madame Eva. She can help you. She can read your fortunes, your future.
Is she here in Barovia?
Oh, she's always in Barovia. She never leaves.
is she
What
the
happens to
stunning?
people that get pulled through the mist? They just stay here and become Vistani?
No. No. He just kind of like chuckles himself. Like, you don't just become Vistani because you're in Barovia. No. You have to be accepted. You have to be included. There's a ritual. You have to become one of us.
And what if you're not accepted?
I guess that depends on what the fates have in store for you. Again, Madame Eva can help you there. Paso, were you going to say something?
I was just asking if Madame Eva was also Vistani.
Yes, she's one of the oldest Vistani. Old. Old, old, old. Very old.
How old?
Ancient is what the stories say. She's definitely... She was old even when I was a child, now that I think about it. Very old.
Do all Vistani live long?
Oh, we live... If we're lucky, we live at least into our hundreds, but I would say she's much older than that. But then again, you never ask a woman her age, right?
Can you drop us off wherever we can find her on your way?
No. No. That would be hours and hours out of my way. I can't do that if I'm going to catch up with my caravan. So, again,
Understandable.
at the gates, that's all I can do.
How did you
Madame Eva
become?
usually stay?
Who asked what?
So where does Madame Eva usually take residence?
You can find her at the Tears Pool. Her camp is always there.
Tears Pool.
Just keep going west. There's some signs you follow. There's really only one road here in Barovia. It's kind of hard to get lost as long as you stay on the road, which I highly encourage you do. Zach, what were you gonna ask?
How did you become separated from your caravan?
Well, we saw you. We saw the house. They continued on. I decided to stop. Which is
And
why...
we are grateful
Yes, you are.
and alive.
We owe you a debt.
Sorry, what was that, Zach?
Said we owe you a debt. What can we do to repay it?
Oh. We have some time here. You would guess that maybe only maybe 20 minutes has passed. Tell me a story.
Evander looks around, stands up, kind of puffs up his jacket a little bit, gets into character, and says, "You say you like stories of adventure and women and drinking. Is this correct?"
Absolutely.
So Evander looks over at Galen and says, "My friend Galen here is from the Dwarven Court, and he knows many stories about the Dwarven rulers. Is that not right, my friend?"
Story.
I might, laddie. I might. But Evander, you're much better at telling stories than me, laddie.
Of course. I merely wish your help and assistance in telling this story.
I will merely give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down, laddie.
As will I. Thumbs up or thumbs down. And right now we're leaning towards down.
So Evander says, "My friend Galen, like I said, knows many of the ruling families of the Dwarven Court. Let me tell you of the story of Lord Gimlinius of the Lanius clan." And he starts to regale him of a story of drunken dwarves fighting in the halls in their mountain fortress, and how the king couldn't be bothered to leave his throne because he was whining and dining all the time while all his nobles fought to the death outside of his underground castle, until one hero...
Over a stone, laddie. Don't forget about the stone.
Oh, what was that stone called, Galen?
The Gimlin stone.
The Gimlin stone, yes! Not as well known as the Arkan stone, but the Gimlin stone
Still quite nice, laddie. Still quite nice.
It didn't shine quite as much as the Arkan stone, but it had a nice hue to it. As they fought over the stone, this king never left until finally the hero of the Gimlinius clan finally broke down the door and demanded the stone be brought to his family. In the end, he fought a duel with this king and took over the new land and claimed the stone to show that drinking and wining and dining may be a good thing, but honor is the thing that you truly must fight for. And Evander ends by singing a song and playing on his lute about this tale of dwarven honor and betrayal.
Oh, okay. Roll me. I still want you to roll a performance check.
Okay.
I'll give you advantage though, because you did have Galen kind of helping you, and I thought you did a very good job describing it. So.
Okay, so this is a performance check here. I sure hope my extra charisma helps with this. Oh!
So Laszlo is enthralled with this story. You even see him at one point kind of whip out like some parchment and he's taking notes. And then the song at the end just like put it like the cherry on top. And he just like kind of looks at you in awe, like, Evander, I am so sorry that you are here in Barovia, because you could be making a killing out there. Fortunately, the only place here that you might be able to find some work is maybe in Vallaki.
Where's Vallaki?
Keep going west. Yeah, only one road. But that's probably where your services would be most useful.
Well, as I said, Laszlo, you have been an amazing audience and a welcome friend. Thank you so much for your help, my friend.
You're very welcome. And you almost see a little bit of sadness in his eyes. But you are reaching your final destination. I'll give each of you one last moment to ask any final questions or anything like that while you're here.
Ulrich, while this is going on, if anyone looks over, he's got kind of like a little sneer and kind of like rolls his eyes at this whole story that Evander's putting on. He wants to take not listening, he wants to take a moment and check on his little plant, Delilah, and see if she was damaged in him during his escape when he fell.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh.
She seems to not be moving as much as she normally would be. She's not as active.
He's just going to use his cloak to kind of screen himself as he sort of tries to just whisper to her and comfort her and calm her down. And after he does that, Connard might see that Ulrich is just sort of sulkily staring at him and not saying anything.
Anyone else?
Does Connard say anything?
No.
And after a minute, Ulrich says, "You couldn't have cast that speed spell on me also?"
No, I couldn't have. I can only affect myself with it.
That's great. And he just kind of sinks into his cloak and just turns away.
All right. Anyone else?
Connard rolls his eyes at Ulrich's latest antics, and he's gonna pull out his book and quickly thumb through it and see what he found.
Okay. You notice that the pages are blank.
Harsh.
Pages are what?
Blank. But you do feel like this innate power coming from the book. So you know it's not just an empty journal.
There any decorations on the cover or anything like that?
Let me double check before I tell you the wrong thing and then have to go back and edit crap. Oh shoot, hold on. So, there it is. So you do see that it is, kind of a heavy book, like heavier than you would expect given the thinness of it. So it does have that black leather cover. You're not able to see anything written in the book, but the pages itself aren't regular parchment. They look like a dark metallic foil of some sort. But there's nothing on the outside or anything like that to kind of, it's just a plain leather cover.
Okay.
Ulrich wants
I'm
to. Go ahead.
gonna ask Laszlo. I'm gonna tell him we found a wrecked wagon that looked somewhat similar to yours. That it belonged to one of your people?
I'm sorry, you said you asked him if it does belong to one of your people?
Yes.
His response is, "Oh, if it looked like one of mine, then it probably was one of ours. We're the only ones who travel this way."
Well, are any of your people missing, or did you know of any of them in that area? Should we? I probably should have asked earlier.
There's very many people, very many families of the Vistani. We tend to stick with our own clan, our own family, and no one in my family has gone missing. Except for maybe me, if I don't get back to my caravan.
All right. That's it for Connor.
While Conrad's looking at the book, Ulrich just sort of in a very, obscure way wants to look at the book and see if maybe he recognizes the materials of it, if it seems familiar to him in any way from anything he's studied.
Nope, doesn't look familiar at all.
And he also wants to really study Conard's reactions to see if Conard is maybe having some sort of recognition or, reaction to this book non-verbally.
What would Conard be looking like while reviewing this?
Connor would be trying to hide any reaction he might be having.
Insight check.
What's your modifier then?
I'm sorry?
Okay, so Archon, I need your insight modifier, and then Zach, give me your deception.
My insight is +4.
Okay.
My deception is -1.
You might need some lessons with Evander.
Okay. So you rolled altogether.
Battle of wits.
Zach, you rolled a 4. Archon rolled a 15. So with 15, what would Ulrich be seeing of Conard's expression?
Connard, although he's trying to play it cool, you can see that his hand is shaking just a little bit as he's holding this book, and his eyes have gone a little bit wider. Something about this book scares him.
Okay.
But at the same time, he's also keenly interested in it.
Okay. Galen, Tasso, anything you'd like to do before the carriage comes to a halt?
I am wholly and 100% invested in Scruffles, so I want to make sure that I would like to, maybe do a medicine check just to see if anything's severely wrong with him.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely run that medicine check. Okay. Basically, all that you're able to, it just looks like he's been out on his own for a while. There's no obvious broken bones or anything like that. There's no open wounds on him. He just looks scared, lonely, and hungry.
Okay. I'm going to take one of the good berries that I keep on me and just see if he'll eat it. Try to feed it to him. And also, I'm curious if I happened to catch any glimpse of Delilah at all. Now,
Okay.
granted, I've been very invested in Scruffles, so if it's a disadvantage or if you just want to say flat no, I get it.
Yeah.
But
Do it at disadvantage.
I will say that
We're in tight quarters here, so it's really hard
Yeah.
to hide anything.
sure. So
but
would that be
just
perception?
Mm-hmm.
an orc was trying to kind of conceal her as best
I
he
know.
could. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I would say you weren't able to catch a glimpse of
That's fine.
what he's messing with, what he's whispering to and talking to, but you know there's something there.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I'm doing.
All right, and Galen, any last things?
Yeah, I not sneakily or anything like that. I pull out my flask and I take a drink and I hand it over to Lazov as well, and just go,
Okay.
lad.
All right. Lazlow kind of like looks down and immediately goes ahead and swig of the flask and goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
monkey butt! That's
It's the good
something
stuff.
there. Oh yeah, put some hair in the chest, right?"
I've put hair on this beard of mine. And I gave him my strong stuff.
Okay.
Based on that, I would like to now ask him, is there any way out of the mist, laddie? And I want to look him right in the eye and just go, for folks like us.
He gets very somber, and he looks you right in your eyes, and he says, "Unfortunately, not. Not unless the Count wills it. You're stuck here. I'm sorry to say. Truly."
I grab the flask back, tighten it up, and just go, thank you, laddie. I appreciate your honesty.
Just kind of nods and
I give an immediate look to Evandor with the look of, oh, shiz. This is not good.
yeah. From that point on, he kind of stops making eye contact with you, Galen.
Evander kind of wants to pat Galen on the shoulder and say, well, we better make the best of it. And he does turn to
Aye,
Laszlo,
laddie.
and he wants to ask one last question and say, you said a place called Wallachia might be a place where I might be able to share my talents? What is this place?
It's called Valaki. It's the largest place here. There's always festivals going on, but they're not much fun. Spoilers. But it's gonna be a while before you make it there on foot.
Is it a tavern, a place,
No,
a gathering place?
it's a town. It's a
Oh.
it's a city.
Outside of Barovia, then, you say?
No. So, Barovia is this entire valley. Barovia is also a village within this entire valley. You are in Barovia, the valley now. You will first come to the village of Barovia.
Evander
Tell
kind of
me more
scratches
about
his
this
head.
Barovia.
He's like, I was never very good at geography anyway, so.
It is confusing, to be fair. I mean, who names a city after the actual place that you're in? It's ridiculous. So nice he named it
I
twice.
think it's a fairly common.
So upon that description, that explanation, you feel the wagon come to a halt. And you hear a voice from up ahead. All right, Laszlo, let's go! It's like, oh, well, you heard the lady. Come on.
I disembark.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I'll start to get up and get out.
Yep.
And
Connor will turn around as he's exiting and bow to Laszlo and say, I remain in your debt. If there's ever anything I can do to repay it, just ask for Connor.
And tell me, whereabouts do you hail from?
I am from Citadel Adbar.
And at that, he looks at you, again, not quite in the eyes, and he asks, do you have any family there? Anyone who might want to send a message to?
Do you go that way? Would you be willing to deliver a message?
We could. It's the least we could do.
And we can all hear this?
Mm-hmm.
If you go to the trade quarter in the stonemasons district and ask for the Andarics, I should be able to direct you to my family. Just please let my parents know that I'll be away for some time, and to tell my brother Arngrim I'm sorry.
All right. I can do that.
How do you send messages through
I,
the mist?
What was that, Zach?
Then I am doubly in your debt. And he'll bow again and jump out the wagon.
And what was your question?
How does he send messages through the mist?
We send messages once we're on the other side of the mist. Nothing while you're in the mist here leaves. You don't leave. The messages you might send through magical means, they won't leave either. So, if there's anyone, either of you think may want to hear some final goodbyes, let me know. And I'll make sure that they get the message. Nobody?
Galen merely walks away. He doesn't
Yeah.
like the idea of this final goodbye
Yeah.
kind of thing. I don't
Yeah,
pay him
Avender's
any
like, this
mind.
is so gloomy. He's just like gonna
Yeah, it's just a little too gloomy for
walk off with Galen.
All right.
Ulrich wants to maybe do an insight check because he's not satisfied with the answer as far as the magical means, because there's somehow, some way a message is getting through, but Laszlo is not really explaining that. And is he doing that intentionally, or is holding back, or does he just not know the details of that?
I mean, he's not sending a magical message. He's not using the spell message.
Okay. Then how does he get a message through?
With pen and paper and seeking out other cities, postal service.
Like the
There's a
envelope just pops through the mist?
Well, I think they can go beyond the mist.
They
which-
can go.
yeah,
Yeah.
which isn't,
Yeah, the
explained
Vistani
he-
can leave.
they can leave.
Yeah, he explained that they're able to come and go. They can
Okay.
leave Barovia, which is why he kind of like drilled it home. You guys, unfortunately, are stuck.
So the Vistani can come and if you're Vistani, you can come and go.
Yes.
Okay.
And once again, you hear the woman up top shouting at Laszlo, "Let's go! Come on!" And Laszlo says his final goodbyes. And you guys are left here with the wagon, retreating, going back east. You guys are left at the gates of Barovia. And I also want to show you
I gotta
the
close this.
official artwork for the gates of Barovia, so you can kind of get a better scale of how massive these gates really are.
Wow.
So
Oh,
even
wow.
though they're a little bit broken down, a little bit run down, they're still pretty damn solid and rather large. And as you guys kind of stare at them. The gates are open. However, Tasso, you smell something on the wind. And smells of death and decay.
Coming from the gates?
Coming from more northeast of the gates, a little bit further into the woods, because the Slavich woods are basically lining this entire road. So even though you don't really see them here in this image, they're not far off.
Okay. Does it have like a stench of just musty, nasty earth, like bog, or is it actual decay, like
It's
death?
actual, like, a body, animal, human. You can't figure that out just yet, but it's definitely a flesh decaying and rotting.
Okay. I would very, I don't know who's standing next to me, but just very quietly, almost to myself, there's death nearby.
What do you mean?
It's the smell of rot and decay. And I gesture into the direction that I sense it's coming from.
Okay. And anyone who kind of follows his point, make a perception check for me. And I would say, Tasso, you could do it at advantage since you kind of already have a better idea of where it's actually located.
Okay.
Evander is just flabbergasted by these gates. He is just staring in awe. Like, this was a town, right? Like, he can't believe the size of these gates.
Yeah, he's still very much distracted by the enormous gates in front of him. However, everyone else, you pick up as you're following Tasso's gaze and where he's pointing, you're able to pick out what looks to be a body, not too deeply, not too far in the forest line, the tree line.
And it's still nighttime, so the light's pretty dim.
Yeah.
Is it just laying there, or is it slumped against a tree?
Nope, it's just laying there, kind of all sprawled out.
Do you see that? And is there anyone else around, like by the gates? Is there like a town watch on top of the walls? Anything?
Nope, you do see, basically the two torches that are there in that image.
Mm-hmm.
They are alit, but other than that, there are no people.
Ulrich's gonna summon his dancing lights and send them floating over to the body just to illuminate the scene a little more.
All right. As you do that, it does fully illuminate this corpse that looks to have been kind of ravaged by animals.
I'm going to head over there and investigate.
Connor,
Follow Tasso.
Okay. So
I want to see if I can... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, as you approach the body, it does become very apparent that this poor soul basically died of, whatever the wounds, whatever attacked it, appear to be.
Can we tell how long it's been here?
Yeah, you could probably gauge, because I feel like this is something you would probably come across more often than others. It's been here for maybe a week, maybe a little bit less.
Can I tell what kind of animal or thing did it?
You can do an animal handling check. Yeah, so as you kind of get closer to investigate, also make me a perception check too. And anyone else who's kind of around the body can do a perception check. But you're able to locate a few very clear places where he's been bitten and torn up, and it looks like wolves.
Okay.
And while you're getting close, you also find that there's a letter that's kind of poking out of his breast pocket.
All right. I'd pluck that out and then hand it to whoever is closest to me.
Who's ever close to him? Who is it?
He
Not
hands it to
Ulrich.
me, and I immediately hand it to Connor, who obviously is the smarter of the two
Connor.
dwarves.
All right.
Connor will open the letter and read it.
Okay. This is what you see.
Should I read this out for the stream? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Hail thee of might and valor. I, the burgomaster of Barovia, send you honor with despair. My adopted daughter, the fair Irina Koliana, has been these past nights bitten by a vampire. For over 400 years, this creature has drained the lifeblood of my people. Now my dear Irina languishes and dies from an unholy wound caused by this vile beast. He has become too powerful to conquer. So I say to you, give us up for dead, and encircle this land with the symbols of good. Let holy men call upon their power, that the devil may be contained within the walls of weeping Barovia. Leave our sorrows to our graves, and save the world from this evil fate of ours. There is much wealth entrapped in this community. Return for your reward after we are all departed for a better life. Signed, Kolyan Indirovich, Burgomaster.
But it appears Mr. Ilyovich's messenger didn't get far.
Aye, it seems so, laddie. What is this talk of vampires?
I assume it's a local flavor of the word vampire. This would comport with the dreams we all had, yes.
At the word vampire, Evander would like to actually, like, that word strikes with him. Can you do like a story or lore check to see if that strikes anything true with him, with any stories he's heard from either his father or his own travels?
Yeah, you can do a history check for me.
Okay, I'll do history here.
Yeah, so nothing really strikes out. You're kind of maybe thinking Conrad is correct. Maybe that's just a weird spelling, a weird local spelling of vampire.
Okay.
I want to take my quarterstaff and just basically push the body over, make sure there's no life or anything in it.
Okay. It basically flops over. It doesn't. He's dead.
Okay. Is there any usable cloth?
Maybe a little bit, like his undershirt underneath the jacket. There's some there. But most of the pants and parts of his arms, like we know where his appendages have been pretty ripped up.
I just want to take out my knife, take out a dagger, and cut off as much as I would need to build a small sling for Scruffles so that I can carry him without having to...
I mean, you could definitely do that. There's enough fabric there to do that.
Okay.
It's going to be bloody. It's going to be dirty. And it's going to smell, but you can...
Have you seen me?
Okay. All
Are
right.
there trees around?
Oh, there's trees everywhere.
Okay, then I'm going to start cutting down some kindling wood and then try to build a small pyre for this body.
Okay. So you can start doing that. What does everyone else do while you see him do this?
This man was likely a resident of this village. Maybe we should see if his family wants to collect the remains first.
What remains, laddie?
Mostly bones at this point, but
Aye.
even that can bring solace.
Do we even know his name?
No, but I suspect this Burgomeister will.
But we would have
Virgo
to
what?
find him, correct, laddie? Where would we even look?
I'd imagine anybody can tell us where the Burgomeister might be found.
Evander wants to walk up and kind of put his hand on Galen's shoulder and says, I agree with Galen that we should give him a proper burial or something. Leaving him to the wolves, carrying a body in this shape would not be safe and would probably just get animals to chase after us anyway.
So be it. Allow me. And Connard will start casting mold earth. It'll probably take 3 or 4 castings, but he'll dig a grave.
Okay.
While they're doing that, Ulrich just wants to move quietly away from the group and start heading towards the door. Did you say it's open?
Yeah, the gates are open.
He just wants to get close enough to peer and see if he can see what's through the doors.
Okay. As you do that, let me read actually the official description of everything here. So, as you kind of come through and you see the gates. So basically, you have these huge iron gates that are hung on the stonework. Dew clings to the cold tenacity, to the rusted bars with cold tenacity. There's 2 headless statues of armed guardians that flank the gate. Their heads now lie among the weeds at their feet, and they greet you only with silence. As you peer through, you basically see a mirror image of what's behind you. A long road flanked by the forest where the trees seem to be too close together. And that's it. That's all that you see.
Is the group using my dancing lights to take care of the body right now?
Yes.
I'm going to pick up a small little rock and try to throw it through the doorway.
Okay. It lands in front of you, clanks the stones.
Like it went through and then came back out at me?
No,
Or just...
you chucked the rock.
Yeah,
It lands in front of you, however strong you think Ulrich could possibly throw the
Oh, did it?
it just goes through like as you would expect a regular.
Okay, so when you said it was a mirror image, it looks like it's just basically
Oh,
the
no,
road
no.
going in, not like an actual weird magical mirror effect.
There's
Oh, okay,
nothing
gotcha.
weird or magical happening.
Then I don't throw it, never mind.
It's just like, it's not like, oh, you look through and, oh my god, there's a city right there.
Okay,
Let me-
okay.
yeah.
Got it. Okay. And does it look... Do I see any buildings from this point?
No,
Any signs of life? No fire, nothing?
no.
Just a road. Okay. All right. I'm just going to wait for the others to finish what they're doing.
All right. So it takes you a little bit of time, but you are able to bury this poor young man. What would you like to do now?
Because he does create a burial site, I stop chopping and I just create a cross
Okay.
to place it there. Say a little prayer until he covers him up, and then I walk away.
Yeah, and Evander will sing a short hymn of the lost to kind of honor this person who lost his life delivering a message before following Galen.
Okay.
And Tasso is going to use Druidcraft to make a single flower bloom above the mound. But what was not intended to happen is that it comes out as a decrepit black rose that's just almost dripping with some sort of viscous ooze as it reaches its apex.
Ooh, I love it. Sexy. So, to everyone but Ulrich, go ahead and take some inspiration.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
why?
Inspiration.
You helped bury this poor man and add a little bit of flair in there. And Ulrich, you kind of did your own thing.
I did. I did.
He's not very
So,
inspiring anyway, so.
well, don't forget, if you have inspiration, use it. You can re-roll any of your d20s. It won't be here next session. So if you don't use it this time, you won't get it next time.
Cool.
Okay. Other than that,
And so Laszlo said, so we're here at the gates of the town of Barovia.
no, you are
Right.
here. Well, at the gates of Barovia.
Yeah, the gates of Barovia.
Ooh,
The
okay.
village. I know. I didn't write this, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
So the gates of the
Of the actual
Valley.
The region.
The region of Barovia.
Yes.
so then where were we before?
You were still.
We were in
We just
Barovia.
crossed into New
This is
York, so we're
Barovia.
still a
There's
couple
so many
miles from New
Barovias.
York.
Yeah, like this is Barovia proper. Once you cross the gate, this is
Okay.
legit Barovia. But
So-
there's still like a little bit of outskirts that are
Right.
still considered to be Barovia.
The nameless outskirts.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
we were
basically Durst Manor is on the outskirts of Barovia, I guess.
It's about an hour outside of Barovia proper.
Okay.
outside the Valley of Barovia.
Yeah, in fact, as
Okay.
you guys were traveling, even as you guys were walking, you would notice here and there like farmsteads, and the farms they seem to be still tended to, maybe not as well as you would expect. A lot of the crops that you saw a lot of pumpkins, a lot of green like kale, turnips, things of that nature, but you didn't see any people, and all of the buildings that were out there were run down, dilapidated, boarded up. Clearly, no one lives outside of Barovia proper anymore, but at one point they did.
Okay, so we're at the gates of the Valley of Barovia.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I might rename Scruffles to Barovia.
Just to clarify, yeah. Really clear.
Oh, we're not doing that. All right, so body is buried. It's at this point, it's a little hard to say, but you would guess it's in the early morning hours, 2 a.m., 3 a.m.
And does the sky look the same as in our own worlds? Like there's a moon and stars and
Yeah, there's moon, there's stars. It looks different. Not like there's no constellations that you guys can really see and pick out. Like, oh my gosh, the hunter. I know what that is. So it does look strange, but it's also partly cloudy at the moment, so can't see the full sky either.
Well, Evander, after we've kind of buried and honored this nameless man we found, kind of wants to look to the others and suggests, Laszlo said we have a long travel ahead of us. Maybe we should make our way through the gates towards whatever's in Barovia. I definitely don't want to stay out here.
How long are you guys going to travel for?
The map that we were given, is that just of the town, correct? I don't have anything to show like where we're at now.
Correct.
Okay.
We do know there's only one road, though, right? Just
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a really pretty much a main road is what you were told. And to
Oh,
stay on.
I just realized too that Ulrich still has a bloodied condition, so it's kind of like holding his side. His robe is tattered, and I actually have
Yeah.
disadvantage on ability checks. I've got exhaustion.
That's why I was
I just-
asking.
I just
How-
walk past Ulrich at this point.
You just walk past.
I kind of give him a slap on the back and just kind of keep walking.
Well, Evander will follow Galen, but as he walks past, he will actually take a little pity, and he will cast his first spell of this, and he will lay his hand on his arm and say, "You're not looking so good, Ulrich," and he will cast Cure Wounds on
Let's
Ulrich.
see that macro.
There it is. For a whole 9. Wow, that was not a very good roll for a level 2 heal, but there.
Hey, could be worse. Could be
Ulrich
worse.
says thank you.
Evander says, "Just don't scowl so much at the next story I tell, please. You're not a great audience member, just letting you know."
He just looks away with his eyes down. All right, now I'm just hit. Okay.
So you guys are all walking through the gates towards what you assume the village of Barovia.
Can we see it in the distance, maybe?
Not yet.
Oh, jeez. What's the landscape like? Are there lots of hills obscuring our like long-range view?
It's somewhat hilly at the moment where you guys are.
Okay. And just
Is
the
it, like,
same.
forests around us, I'm guessing? Heavy, dense trees? Okay.
That's a constant. Pretty much whenever you're out there on the road, the forest is going to be right there on either side of you.
Ulrich is walking in the middle of the road behind everyone else, constantly looking side to side.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd keep an eye out for any wild animals or anything that may be of a threat.
Did you say make a perception roll?
Yep.
Okay.
And Tasso too.
Disadvantage.
Yeah. Evander's going to stay near Galen to hope he'll protect him.
So 12.
He'll do his best.
Tasso, every now and then you'll glance over at the forest line and you'll see some ravens perched in the trees, just kind of watching you. You're not sure if it's the same raven or if it's multiple ones, but there does seem to be ravens watching you guys walk. I would say by now it's probably been about an hour. Still don't see the town. So I'm going to ask you, how much longer in hours do you guys feel you're comfortable enough to walk, or do you want to make camp, or do you just want to push through and get to the city?
We haven't rested since we appeared in that forest, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I defer to the group.
Travel too long, would we
Yeah.
get exhaustion from that?
Yes. Mhm.
Did we?
I feel like I'd
I
be
know.
walking in front, and I will spin around and look at each one of them. Just go, how long, laddies, do you want to keep walking this road?
If I recall correctly, at least Connor was resting before he ended up in the forest. Did he feel rested from that, or like I guess is he feeling tired right now?
You know what? To be fair, that carriage ride was about an hour, so you guys would have a short rest in.
Ooh, can we maybe use some hit dice?
If you would like, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
All right. I need to do. I'll use one. Will it do this for me? Let's see. Oh, nice. Well, I'll do another one.
Oh, God. All right, I'm going to use
3.
2 as well. Jeez. Really?
7.
Just get
Wait.
Wait, you're rolling a something
wait, yeah,
plus
no,
2.
no.
That's not the right macro.
That doesn't
Yeah.
look. Hold on.
Yeah,
no.
I hit dice. It's saying 1 + 2 =
It's
1.
equal.
Oh,
1D plus
it's a
2.
1d1. That's not right at all.
You didn't specify your die type. Yeah, it's just as
Is that under options to do that, apparently?
You can write it in.
Hit
yeah.
dice.
I
It
did not
says
mean to
hit
use
dice is
that.
a
I wanted to see
D8.
if mine did the same.
Yeah. You could just roll the table as well.
I'll just roll a D8. I don't know why I did that. Okay. Wow, 2.
everybody do
So
it?
much better.
Okay.
Also add your Constitution modifier.
Add your Constitution modifier.
Okay. I'll just take 4. Yeah, okay.
I don't know if I want to waste it.
I didn't. I just wanted to see what it would. I
What it
tried to
would
hit
look
hit
like?
die to see if I could change. Well, no, I tried to hit die to see if I could change the D type. But
Oh, gotcha.
I know every time I hit something, I swear
Um,
something's wrong and I don't roll correctly. Back when my rapier was always doing 1
I'll
damage.
do it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I guess I'll accept that too.
hey, Ryan, go to your options tab on the very
Uh-huh.
far right, and
Yeah,
in the very top left box, it should say hit dice. Mine says D8.
mine does too.
Okay.
So I don't know why.
Yeah,
Mine's
we'll have
just
to look into
borked.
that.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right. So anything else you guys want to do per that long or that short rest?
Actually, when they were leaving the carriage and Conrad mentioned the Citadel Atbar, is that what it was?
Adark.
Advar.
Adbar?
Advar.
Did that ring
Yep.
a bell to Ulrich at all? In other words, is this also in Faerun, and might he have heard of it?
Yeah, it is in Faerun. I don't know. I don't think you would have heard of it though. It's not like a pretty. Yeah. So
Okay.
unfortunately, no. But
What part of Faerun is? Well, it's in the north. I don't know if.
Yeah. Ulrich's from Neverwinter.
Oh, for the short rest, there's actually one other thing that Evander could have done. So there's my Song of
Oh.
Rest, which
What does
since
that
I
do?
did do a performance and sang a song, I feel like this would apply.
sure, do it.
So it's revitalize your wounded allies. Any creatures who can hear regain hit points by spending hit dice at the end of the short rest. Each of those creatures regain an extra 1d6 HP.
That's great.
So an extra
you.
1d6. Does that apply to myself or only the people I'm performing for? I assume I wouldn't get that for myself.
If you or any friendly creature.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it wouldn't you.
Okay, nice, cool. So I get extra d6 back, nice.
It's comical at this point.
Oh my gosh.
I am horrible at healing myself. I need somebody else to heal me, apparently.
Okay, you know what? Get all those ones out now. Get the
Yeah,
low
yeah.
rolls out now.
Yes, while I'm not actually fighting anybody, at least we'll say that. Okay.
All right. What would you? So it's been an hour on this walk. Galen has turned around and been like, "How much longer? How much further is it? Should we keep walking?"
Evander does say, Laszlo said it was several hours to the town of Barovia. Should we stop and rest or should we continue on? Address to the party if anybody thinks it's better to stay out here or not.
Ulrich's just very withdrawn, not saying anything.
I'd prefer to push on. I'm feeling okay.
Should we leave it to a vote, laddies?
Sounds good.
Doesn't matter. to
Aye,
me.
if you
I'm
want to
fine either
continue
way.
on.
Aye.
I
Tasso,
Aye.
laddie. I just look at Ulrich and just go, "Are you okay?"
Either way.
Okay, we'll take that as an aye, laddie. And I'll
Alright.
just turn around and just continue to walk in front.
You guys are headed on.
Evander will use prestidigitation to light a small torch and hand it to Galen since he's kind of leading the way here.
Yeah, I would assume at this point everyone would have torches out.
Oh, okay.
I anticipate you guys walking. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but I would assume at least 2 of you would have torches out.
I would
Maybe.
probably have one out if I'm,
Yeah.
especially if I'm walking in the front.
Conrad will just cast his light cantrip on his probably on his warhammer.
Okay. So you guys are just gonna push on, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it.
Right.
Do we have like a walking order here?
That is a great question. What is your mark here, guys?
Ulrich is last.
Ulrich is last.
Yes.
I immediately look to Tasso and just go, Like, can you be in the back just in case, or just watch him?
I'll ride shoulder to shoulder with
Sounds good.
him. Yeah.
Evander will be
Lord.
just right behind Galen, kind of keeping him company and staying close.
Ulrich gives a little nod to Tasso as he falls in step next to him.
Hello, scary one.
So Connor's in the middle. The smart one's in the middle. We must protect him at all costs.
Don't feed his ego, guys.
He's our king. I mean,
Like he's just got his arms crossed. Like that's
Yeah,
right.
look at him.
Yeah. Do you guys want to take a few minutes and build me a palanquin or something?
Oh my God.
Let's create a rickshaw and carrying him around.
I'll entertain him while you all carry us. You know, it's great.
All right, so you guys make your way. Another hour passes pretty much without incident. You do still, I will say, Tasso, because your passive perception is the highest. Actually, Ulrich, what is yours?
14.
Yeah,
Tasso,
mine's
what is
13.
yours?
I'm 13, 1-3.
I don't know why I thought yours was high. Maybe because, I'm partial to druids, so I'm like, oh,
Probably.
yeah.
That's why I chose the druid.
Jules,
Oh,
awesome.
Ulrich, you actually catch a flash of white in this underbrush area. It just kind of catches your eye.
Right or left?
It's going to be to your right.
I stop and I just grab it, Tasso. It's like, wait, did you see that? And I point over where I saw the movement.
It's, so Tasso, as you follow his point, his gaze, you also kind of see something white underneath this underbrush that's kind of not, like maybe about 2 feet from the actual road itself. It's a rather large.
So when you said flash of white, you didn't mean like an actual flash. You meant like something like caught his eye.
Yeah. So
Okay.
as you're both are now taking a closer look, it's not movement, but the color is so stark and so different. It just kind of caught your eye, Ulrich.
As we're walking, I figured that Ulrich would have had his dancing lights because he's so skittish to kind of have around him. So assuming they're out now, can I just move them over to where this white thing is and see if it illuminates a little bit?
Yeah, so it does kind of illuminate things a little bit, and I assume the rest of the party would notice one of his
I'd
lights.
call out, "Oh, they're dwarf. Hold on."
Yeah. So like I said, it is it's almost like maybe like a 6 to 8 foot underbrush here, and what your dancing lights illuminate, it looks like there's some bones kind of underneath, scattered around this brush area.
Did it seem as if the white was movement or just color that I noticed as we were
Color.
walking? Just color.
Just the color.
Tasso, do you see that?
I do. So with Druidcraft, would I be able to make like a puff of air heavy enough to move some of the brush?
It might move a little bit here and there, but it's not enough to like really uncover much of
Okay.
it.
Well, then I'll walk over. I'll walk over and start poking at it with my quarterstaff.
All right. So as you kind of are moving things around, you see that underneath it does appear to be bones, but you can tell right away that they're not human bones.
Some type of animal. I mean, can I do like a survival check or a animal
Give me
handling?
a nature check.
You had to say nature.
Okay. So you can tell that it's some type of elk or deer, and it has this strange, some of the bones, the way that they've been broken, it indicates that it's a bite, but it doesn't resemble like a wolf's bite.
Something large had to have.
Yeah, something absolutely large, because and it literally does look like a huge just chunk of it has been shattered and is gone.
There's something large in these woods. I point out and tell them, that the fractures in the bones indicate a large bite of something that probably wouldn't want to mess with right now.
He tells us this.
Yeah.
Can Evander ask, are there tracks of anything nearby?
You can make a survival check if you want.
I will look.
Okay, so you don't
Evander's
see
not good at that, so he won't help.
any tracks. You don't even see tracks of this deer or elk, whatever this animal was. You don't see anything.
Well, I assume with it being bones, it's been here a while.
Yeah, it's been here for a while, so you don't see any tracks of that nature. But while you were doing that, you did also notice that some of the branches of this overgrowth were snapped and actually underneath the bones, as if this creature was dropped onto this bush.
Are there any game trails or anything right here as well that would lead out of the woods?
Nope, not here.
I look up after kind of surmising that it may have been dropped. Is there anything odd in the trees?
Not that you can tell. You see maybe a raven or two. The cloudy sky. That's it.
Would I have thought that the body was dropped from the trees, or that something from the trees dropped on top of the animal?
So the trees itself, there's not a tree directly above you. So it's not like this thing fell from a tree. So you're wise, and I almost said smart, but you're wise
I'm not
enough
smart.
to discern that however this creature got here was definitely from above. And
there's nothing above that it could have fallen. Okay.
So what may have done it, you don't know, but you do know that it just was plopped here.
It obviously was a flying deer. And it fell out of the sky.
Barovia is so strange. Flying
Right?
deer.
What is it?
I don't like the looks of this. This corpse landed here.
Do we need to be watching the skies?
Landed.
Yes, landed, was dropped. Something very large bit into this thing, and something very large and possibly in flight dropped this thing. We're dealing with a lot more than what we are bargaining for.
We should stay close to the trees then. We shouldn't be in the middle of the road. And how wide is the road that we're traveling on?
That's a great question. I would say it's wide enough for maybe 2 horses side by side and 1 wagon.
Oh, okay.
Well, Evander says...
So it's not that wide.
Yeah, 5-6 feet.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's wide enough that if 2 of you wanted to stand, next to each other, you could definitely, maybe even 3 of you, you could definitely do that. It is also a very well-maintained road, but you got to keep in mind, the Vistani are traveling in and out all the time.
Sure.
And they, as Laszlo told you, they travel via caravans. So it's wide enough for all of their wagons to get through, but not for 2 wagons side by side to travel through.
Okay. A question I probably should ask before. Is the mist in the forest?
You can still kind of see it, but it's very thin. Whereas before, where you guys were kind of, I want to say plop again, where you guys were kind of left there when you awoke, that was much thicker. But as you're making your way into the actual valley itself, it thins out a fair bit. But you can still see it.
So it's always there, either way. Okay.
There, but it's not as oppressive right here.
Okay. Well, Evander will kind of look to Galen and say, if you watch the road, I'll keep my eyes on the skies if we need to look for something coming from above us.
Yeah, I suggest we continue to move.
I'd agree.
All right.
I immediately looked to Connor in the middle.
Like, is it okay?
Like, okay.
Is it okay with you, Saya?
Dither
Please.
will only increase the time we're exposed to whatever might be in the skies. Let us proceed.
All right. So it takes another 2 hours for you guys to finally see the village ahead of you. So in those 2
About
hours,
what time of day is it?
By this time, it's
It'd be like
nearly
5,
dawn.
6, right?
Yeah, it's nearly dawn, about 5, 6 in the morning. But in that travel time, was there anything else you guys wanted to address, wanted to do, wanted to say before you actually hit Barovia itself?
I tossed everybody a good berry if they're hungry.
Oh,
Okay.
Ulrich accepts. What does it taste like?
A good berry.
Excellent.
Ah.
Quite happy with it.
Yeah, in
Um,
terms of rations and water, are we really keeping an eye on that, or?
No.
Oh.
Unless you guys are really going to be out in the forest for
Yeah.
days on end, then
Okay.
yeah, we'll keep a closer eye on that. But no.
Okay. So we can see the town, right?
Yes. At this point, you can see the town. So I'll go ahead and move.
Okay.
move this
I'd like
over.
to stop and turn to the group at this point and try to gather together and just like, which should be our first order of business here, lads. We should have a plan.
Somewhere to sleep.
Do we even trust these people, though?
I don't think we have any reason to trust them, but I would at least deliver news of the Burgomeister's messenger to the Burgomeister and see what they can tell us of this Strahd von Zarovich, who seems to have taken an interest in us.
we can also ask to see if Madame Eva is known by anybody in
Can
town.
we do that in the morning?
It is the
It
morning.
is the morning. I look up at the sky.
Evander says,
Come on, let's
as
find
much
this
as I
burglar master.
as much as I hate to agree with Ulrich, we have been traveling for hours. We might want to rest before we start exploring a strange town.
If we start bringing up these things we found and asking questions, we don't know how people will react. We need to be recovered. I need my magic to recover.
Let me toss this out to you, lads. Every time that we fall asleep, we end up somewhere else.
Is that a bad
Maybe we can
thing?
sleep ourselves home.
We keep ending up back here. Last time, I didn't have anything. I had a stick. I don't want to fall asleep,
Which
lads,
is it?
and just have a stick again. It's not fitting of a dwarf.
What if we were to camp and leave a watch? If one of us stays awake at all times and we take shifts, maybe that will keep anything from happening.
Can we do that in an inn?
We can camp out here.
I
Can
would
we not?
prefer to. If we're in civilization, we may as well avail ourselves of its benefits.
Then it's settled. We'll go find an inn in Barovia. Evander kind of looks around.
I'm not happy about this, but I accept. For it is the will of the group.
My liege, I say to,
Oh my god. Is that
to Connor.
Lord Connard.
Okay, so you
Yes.
guys
The nicer
do
we are to
decide-
Conrad, the more powerful he gets.
Yeah.
So we're trying to boost his stats up really quick here.
All right, so as you guys make your way further down the road, closer to this village, you see that there's tall shapes that loom out of the dense fog that surrounds pretty much everything. It's always seemingly present here in Barovia. The muddy ground that's underfoot gives way to finally a slick, wet cobblestone, and the tall shapes become recognizable as village dwellings. The windows of each house stare out from pools of blackness. There are no sounds cut the silence except for the mournful sobbing that echoes through the street and in the distance. Right now, you don't see anyone, which is strange because at this time you would expect to see some merchants out and about, some bakers, people beginning to start their day. You would expect to hear sounds of livestock that are probably kept in pens nearby.
So about that camp we were going to make outside of town.
Too late. Um,
Oh God! I think we heard the.
actually,
Okay,
let me.
I think the crying would have made me stop
Okay.
and just be like,
Yeah, no lights and dark streets and crying. Slowing down now.
Yeah, so it's right now everything is still pretty much dark. Like the entire town is still asleep. So you guys are coming in from the east road. You're looking at your map, and the sounds. It's almost as if this sobbing sound is echoing throughout the entire village. So it's really hard for you to figure out exactly where it's coming from, but it does seem to be more centered on maybe the south side of town.
Does it seem like multiple voices or just one voice echoing through?
Just one voice echoing.
Quick question. How warm, cold is it?
So at this point, I envision Barovia always being a little bit chilly. At this time of day, and it's still a little bit damp, it's probably about 40-ish degrees,
Are
maybe
there
low
any
30s.
"Oh wow!"
are there any houses with smoke billowing out of like chimneys or anything?
You do see a couple.
Okay. So there
And
are signs of life.
as you're making your way, I'm sorry, what was that, Jeremiah?
I said so there are some signs of life that people have
Yeah.
fires going in the houses and
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But as you're making your way further into the village, you do spy a sign, like a little post that says, um, "In this way, blood of the vine."
What is it?
Blood of the vine.
Yeah.
Blood of the vine? Are there lights on?
Well, you're not there yet, but it's
Okay.
kind of directing you to.
Okay.
It's so the direction is basically more towards the north. North. Yeah, just north actually.
And if it's 40 degrees, Ulrich seems visibly cold. He's quite skinny. This is not something he endures very well.
Does the sound of this crying sound natural, or is it like, can Conrad attempt to determine if it might be magically amplified or propagated or something?
As far as you can tell, it does sound natural. You're more than welcome to make some type of Arcana check, though, if you want to see if it's being amplified magically.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems like something Ulrich might want to do also, if that's okay.
Sure, if you'd like.
With disadvantage. Thanks, exhaustion. Let's see. Arcana.
Ooh,
Not
there you go.
bad.
Okay. So to both of you, it does seem natural, normal. It doesn't. You don't get a feeling that this is like I said, being amplified by any magical means.
It's just kind of the acoustics of the area, the structures that are sending it through.
That is your reasoning.
Okay. I don't like that crying, but I don't care right now. I just want to go
Yeah.
inside.
The crying is kind of pulling you guys to the south. The inn is, the direction of that is more towards the north.
The north.
Mm-hmm.
Like physically trying to draw us, or just that's where it's coming from?
It's just if you're hearing it, that's kind of the area
Okay.
where you hear it's mostly kind of centered at, but it still kind of is heard almost everywhere.
Okay.
Like little snippets here and there. Every now and then
Is it
you
just
catch
like crying or somebody like in torment?
sobbing.
Just sobbing?
Mm-hmm.
In most cases, Galen would make it a point to go down there. But we already dealt with sobbing girl back at the house.
That went real well.
So
You've
Galen's
done your
going
good deed
to
for the day.
Ignore that urge this time.
I think he's going to ignore as that in Barovia everybody cries. That's just the thing that happens in Barovia. So there's always somebody crying, so maybe that's just the way they deal with things.
Are we walking north to the inn?
Yeah, that's Evander's all about getting to the inn if that's what we decided earlier.
Look, if the crying isn't somebody in pain and just somebody in mourning, they'll be sad tomorrow too.
Is that what Tasso says? Or
Excellent.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so y'all make your way to the inn. So you turn the street, turning your backs on this sobbing person, and you approach the inn itself. Oh, you know what? I forget. Sometimes I will bring myself to these pages, but I forget to bring the players.
Oh yeah,
Hey,
okay.
there are lights.
Yeah.
In this picture, yes, but in the moment,
I
no.
know.
What you do notice right away, because it's very apparent. It's like you're in the shadow of this castle the entire time you're here in this village. And it's almost as if this shadow is oppressing the village itself. And no matter which way you kind of turn and move throughout the village, this castle is always kind of there in the background. But you guys make your way to the inn itself. You do see lights on here. You do see smoke coming from the fire. You do smell
Food.
especially Tasso, you would smell the beginnings of a breakfast being cooked.
You said we can see the castle?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Immediately if I see that, does that spark anything in me in regards to my other self?
It definitely. Well, you tell me if it sparks any emotions, but you definitely would be having flashes of, like, you know what that castle is. You know who's in it.
I do.
Oh yeah.
I guess I would have a flashback of that beautiful woman that is still up there, just waiting for me to save her.
She was bald, right?
Yeah, she was bald.
Evander would have a flashback of getting a fireball thrown at him and almost getting one shot. So he sees that and immediately shivers, like he almost has a premonition of his own death looking at it, kind of thing.
Looking at the castle and just sort of the effect it seems to have on the area is, I don't know if Or can maybe do some kind of insight check just to see if there's something to kind of read through that to the presence behind it, or if there's something magical about the presence of this castle.
No, there's really
Okay.
not any type of check to do that. I would say kind of filtering back through what memories you can still access. there's whatever magical means of the castle there are. It's nothing about its presence. Its presence is very much real. It's just a very how can I say it? Just the magnitude, the
Oppressive.
yeah, it's a very, especially you feel it in this town a lot because it's right there. There's no getting away from the Count while in Barovia.
Ever present.
Ever present. But you are at the inn. What would you guys like to do?
I'll knock on the door.
Don't you just go in?
Call
Okay,
it
knock.
in.
Well, it's relatively early, you know, and I'm a well-mannered dwarf. I
Okay,
knocked before I enter someone's inn.
you knock on the inn door, and for a moment you just kind of hear silent, and then you just kind of hear laughter from the other side. But not too long after you knock and you hear the laughter, the door swings open, and you see standing in front of you is kind of like a woman in her early 30s, dark wavy hair, fairly attractive, and dressed in these bright colored clothing. She has just a multicolored skirt, a very vivid red top, a sash with jangled coins on that are sewn into it, and then kind of like a bandana around the top of her hair. And she kind of looks at you. What are you knocking for? Come in.
Thank you, my lady.
Forgive my friend. He's never entered a public establishment.
And she cackles upon hearing that, and you hear the laughter echoed behind her by two other women that kind of resemble her very closely in fashion, if not. You can tell that they look similar in the fact that they all kind of have that, they're dressed the same, the dark hair, but you can tell that they're not related.
Just a theme they got going on. Gotcha.
That's their look. They're on trend right now. As you guys make your way further in, you can see while it's mostly well kept, it has kind of a dour vibe to the inn. You do see across the way there is a rather large bartender, for lack of a better word. He at this point is back there cleaning, moving cups around, things of that nature, bringing in kegs, barrels from the back, and setting them up. You can smell some food being cooked from behind the bar. There's a door that leads back behind there. You can smell some fresh honey cakes, some bacon, some sausage, things like that.
It's much warmer in here, I take it.
And as you all make your way in, the three women kind of like swarm and circle around you, and they're like, "Oh, newcomers! We don't get a lot of you around here. Come, sit with us." And they motion and kind of even push some of you guys along to one of the tables.
Hi.
Amder's going to kind of bow and flourish and be like, "Oh, ladies, it is nice to be welcomed in such a fashion." And he kind of does little magic tricks and things just to kind of bedazzle them back, you know, to entertain them.
So giddy, they're clapping and they kind of like look at themselves and giggle. Yeah, they're very, very interested.
Evander loves an enthralled audience, so he is immediately taken in by their infectiousness and flirting and talking and chatting and playing around, basically.
So remember how that feels.
Mm-hmm.
We'll come back to it after a short break. Now's a good time. So we'll take a quick break and we will come back within the inn, and these women
A short flirting break. All right, cool. So I will change screens here, and I hope y'all are enjoying as we explore Barovia. We're going to take a quick 5, 7, 8 minute break. Y'all grab a snack. We can use the restroom, and then when we come back, we'll see. Hopefully these sirens don't kill us all, you know. We'll be back in just a bit, my friends.